Guys, by now everybody's heard about the Trump shooting. I've been looking at a lot of videos from different angles and different accounts to try to piece together exactly where everybody was, including the shooter, the Secret Service snipers on the roof, Trump. Where were these people that were telling the police, hey, we see a sniper on the roof? It is very complicated the way the media is telling it, and it's not exactly right. Even the Post's diagram is off compared to what I have determined. So I'm going to show you the facts of where I say everything is and the distance, and then I'm going to show you the proof through the videos of how I came to those conclusions. And then I'm going to talk about the real questions in the room of, is the Secret Service just incompetent, or is it a lot more sinister than that, and that they actually let this happen, or let this guy get on this roof and wait for him to do what he had to do and then take him out? There's a lot of questions that don't have easy answers for the Secret Service here. So let's get into it. So this is the diagram that I have come up with, and some other news media have the shooter over here. That's not accurate, or have the Secret Service on this barn roof. That's also not accurate. So this is how it actually happened. And so the shooter was 145 yards from the Secret Service and 156 yards from where Trump was standing on the podium. So let's start with Trump and the podium. Notice here that there are 3 barns, and Trump is standing right about the middle between the first and second barn right here. Now notice that there's a pond here, there's a road along the pond, there's a road along the barns, and there's another road here, and then there's these faint dirt roads right here, like little trails. And so Trump is between the first and second road over from this little barn here, and he's about a third of the distance back from this road right here. Okay, so here are the 3 barns. Here's the pond, here's the first road, here's the road along the barns, here's the second road parallel to the barns, and then here are these 2 little kind of light dirt trails, right? So you see the podium is about a third of the way back from this dirt road, and between the little second and third little dirt trail here. So, and his podium is right about between the first and second barn. So you see when they move into a head-on shot, you see the middle of the podium is basically at the end of this second barn. Now let's see where the Secret Service snipers were planted on the roof, the ones that actually ended up shooting the shooter. Okay, so here is the video with Trump, and to his right, meaning the third barn, here are the snipers, not too far from the corner of the roof here, and they're at the top of the roof and very close to the edge of it. And you see this boom here is the boom on the left. There were 2 booms that held up really big American flags. So this is the one on the left. So this was in front of the third barn, right? So here you see the boom on the left is right in front of the third barn, and these snipers were right about here. So that coincides with right about here are where the snipers are, and their direct line of sight to where the shooter is right here. However, there is a tree right here and a bunch of trees. Now, is the shooter really here, or is he over here? Well, this building is about 140 feet long and about 70 feet wide. And from the video footage that I've seen, he is right about here. Now, notice this little notch, this little connection here, and I'm going to show you a video that proves that he's over here and not somewhere closer to this end, even though the people that saw him on the roof were somewhere over here looking, and they can see him. Okay, so here is a video of that roof. Here is that little connecting notch to this other building. Here is the guy's backpack. His gun is over here, and he is over here, very close to this notch. He's blurred out in this video, but you see he's very close to this side of the building, not the far side. Also notice this kind of awning thing or whatever, and this light above this, you'll see that later. Okay, and here is the tree. Okay, here is a loading dock area for another building next to it that this thing is connected to, and I will show you from the ground what this looks like also. This is the far side where the spectators were that saw this guy. Now, it's funny that they saw him all the way. They must have been standing pretty far away to kind of see him on the roof all the way at this side of the roof. And notice this little vent or smokestack over here, because you'll see that in another video from a different angle. So again, here's the building, here's the body blurred out, here's his gun, here's his knapsack, here's the little connector to the building, and you see he's very close to that connector of the building. He's not anywhere near the far side of the building. And in this video, they do not show a ladder here, but apparently that's how he got onto this building. And so there is a photo here of that same spot, but with a ladder, with the same backpack and the same gun and the same blurred out thing. So I don't know, maybe they took the video later on and they moved the ladder away. I'm not sure. Or maybe it was the police that brought the ladder there after they already shot him. Not sure. Now you can see this is a closer view of the body that's still blurred, but there's blood running down the roof over here. There's his backpack and there's his gun. And it's a lot sharper than the other video. But there's that connecting thing right here, right? So you see he's closer to this side of the building than the other end. So this is the position I have for the shooter. This is assuming that he shot from here, the snipers shot him, and he stayed in the same position, didn't move or anything like that. I think that's a reasonable assumption because the sniper shot as soon as he finished his shooting. So again, you see it is more to the right of the building than this edge here where all the people were watching him. So TMZ actually has a video of him before he shoots, and everybody is pointing it out that there he is and he has a gun. And there were 2 eyewitnesses that were saying, at least one of them said that he told the police 3 or 4 minutes ahead of time before this guy actually shot that there's a sniper, a guy with a rifle on the roof, and they didn't they didn't do anything in time, that's for sure. They didn't seem to believe him. But let's look at this video. So notice there is that little vent that I mentioned before, right? And he's facing this way. So he is on the way far end of that building, and these people are on the other end, the far end, watching him. And so this is where these people were. They were kind of far away from the building and they could see him shooting. Trump is over here. The opposite side that the guy is closer on is on the opposite side of this building, right? And there he is, already dead. And you see that light fixture and this square rectangle awning kind of thing that I pointed out before. This is what I'm talking about. So he is closer to this side of the building, but yet they could still see him from their vantage point. So now that I showed the position of where the shooter was in relation to the snipers and Trump, and you see that those people that were watching him, the smokestack is over here, and that awning with the light is over here, and they were over here watching that and telling some police someplace that there's a shooter on the roof over here. Now, another guy with the fake orange hair in the interview was saying that not only did he tell the police 3 or 4 minutes earlier, but he was also pointing to the Secret Service and pointing to the guy on the roof. Now, I don't know if they didn't understand him or whatever, but they did not take the hint, or I don't know. But the fact is that there is a roof with a clear shot at Trump, only 156 yards away from him, and the Secret Service is 145 yards away from this roof, and yet They don't see this guy. They don't have any Secret Service over here anywhere in this parking lot that this guy could just come with a ladder and a bag and a gun and climb up here. And all these people see him, but nobody else does. So now let's look at this from Google Maps. Notice you have the 2 cell towers here. You have the 3rd barn here where the snipers would have been right behind where this tree is up on the roof here. And this is the building that he was shooting from. And if you actually go into the parking lot of this building here, you see this is the building that he was shooting from. Here are the 3 barns. The snipers were up here. Trump was over here someplace. And all the people were standing around here somewhere watching the rally. And that's how they saw this guy on the roof. Okay, now let's go to the other side of the building where he actually got in. This is where that ladder was in the picture that I had. And this is that little connection. So he is on the roof up here, not much farther from that connection. There is that light and that kind of awning. And notice that this building is about maybe 13, 14 feet at its highest, because you have these doors here, which are probably, 6.5 feet. And so maybe another 6.5, 7 feet to get to the peak of the roof. So maybe 13, 14 feet is the highest elevation. But this barn is obviously higher than this building, right? You could see that easily, that this barn is a higher elevation. So how is it possible that they did not see this guy on the roof? Now, one thing to notice is that these trees are from the winter, and so they were not in full bloom like they were when the Trump rally was happening. So you see that these 2 trees, when they are in full bloom, would possibly block some of the view of the Secret Service snipers. So I'll give them that. However, here's the 3 barns where the rally happened and Trump was like in front of. The second one over here, right? And this is the street and this is the area. There's not a lot of tall buildings out here, right? Maybe 1.5, 2 stories or something like that. And so this building that he shot from wasn't that high up. Now, here's the thing. If you are the Secret Service, and there was even news stories of them coming out here a few days earlier, how they do every time to understand all the risks and all that kind of stuff of where somebody might possibly be shooting from. If Trump's going to be over here, don't you think that this roof would be a possible shooting spot from? Now, I've never been in law enforcement or the Army or the Secret Service or anything like that. But I know that they always want the highest vantage point, right? Well, I remember when I worked in Manhattan next to the World Trade Center, and when they were rebuilding it, I think maybe Hillary Clinton came or something around the mid-2000s, I don't know, 2005, 2007 or something like that. And I worked in this building, and there is a parapet. There's like a balcony here on the 11th floor, I believe. And we were not allowed to go anywhere near the windows. And this whole parapet was filled with sharpshooters from the New York Police Department or whoever. And so they were up on the 11th floor with all kinds of angles because, there's all windows. Anybody could be taking a shot or something like that, but they are trying to get up as high as possible. Now, okay, they got on this barn, but in this hillbilly town of Pennsylvania, there's no place you can get up high to oversee all this stuff, right? Well, what about this water tower that's right here? I mean, you're talking, 5 car lengths away from this parking lot is this water tower. How high is a water tower? I looked it up and it said it is usually between 130 and 165 feet. And there is obviously a walkway up here that anybody could come up here and either put a Secret Service sniper or at least somebody to watch everything else around here very easily. I mean, they could see all of these roofs, they could see everything going on. And yet, are you telling me that nobody thought of this? And nobody thought of having maybe police blocking this parking lot or Secret Service or something around the parking lot to see who's coming and going, if maybe these warehouses or factories were open at the time, they would definitely have people here watching, making sure nobody gets on the roof or even just goes up to the fence and tries to shoot somebody. So now we see all this, and now we see that this shooter was trying to shoot Trump from the right side of his head. And he is so lucky that at the time that the bullet went off, he just happened to look up and to his right to somebody in the audience. And that's why the bullet grazed him. So Trump was facing this way right here. His right ear was facing this way, and the shooter was trying to shoot him obviously right in the side of his head. And he just happened to turn to his right and look up at the exact second that this happened. So as you see in my diagram, the shooter is over this way, and he's trying to shoot him not in his face, but in the side of his head. But Trump is actually halfway turned to his right now. And in another second, he's going to completely turn and look up at somebody back here in the audience or something. And that's the exact moment that the bullet comes out and just sideswipes his ear instead of going right into the side of his head. I mean, a split second earlier or later, and he would be definitely a goner. You see that? The second he looked up, the bullet came out and he got hit on the side of his ear. Look again. You see that? One more time.
Take a look what happened.
You see, just when he looked up, the bullet came out and got his ear, and he touched his ear and realized. Now, was this incompetence, or did they leave that avenue open for this guy to go up there and do what he did?
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%.
So like this guy said, he told the police 2-3 minutes earlier, and he was pointing at the Secret Service snipers on the roof to the other roof, and they pretended, or they didn't see him, or they ignored him, or whatever, but they failed to do anything about it. And this is the New York Post's diagram. And you see they have the Secret Service on the first barn roof, on the second part of the barn roof, which is totally wrong. I have it over here, as you see in the video. And the shooter's location is over here. It's more like over here behind this tree line, right by the extension of the building. And this is accurate pretty much where Trump was actually standing over here. And so this is who they are saying is the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. And this is his high school graduation from just 2 years ago. He was 20 years old and lived about 44 miles south of Butler, a little bit south of Pittsburgh. So those are some of the facts of the case, but what about the glaring unanswered questions? Number one, is this 20-year-old guy some super assassin mastermind that just somehow waltzed into this building and brought his own ladder, or however he got up there in the middle of the daytime and outsmarted all these Secret Service that came to this location days earlier and mapped out every risk and problem and threat and all of that kind of stuff, and he just walked in there and outsmarted them? Or is he just some super genius and he knew all their tricks and somehow was able to get through all of their tricks and traps and guards and all of that stuff. It seems to me like he just rolled up there and just went up there like as if there was not going to be any kind of resistance or anything. So how lucky do you have to be that you want to shoot a presidential candidate and he just happens to be coming to an area near you less than an hour away, and you could just drive up there and waltz right in with your gun and your ladder and be on the roof in the middle of everybody and just shoot as much as you want for a few seconds at least? That makes zero sense. And like I said, the Secret Service or somebody should have been up in those water towers. If they don't use drones, I would guess that they use some kind of drones to look at the whole situation. But if not, the water tower would have been the perfect spot. And it's not like, oh, we didn't see the water tower there. Silly us. Oh, and the fact that Department of Homeland Security in Mayorkas is saying that they're going to get right on investigating this. Is this going to be the same way that they shut the borders down, how they just open it up and pretend they don't see anything? I mean, this is getting to be like professional wrestling when I was a kid, and I believed it was real. And there would be a match, and the manager would distract the referee so that his wrestler could pull out a foreign object and punch out the other guy, knock him out cold. And then the referee would finally stop being distracted and go count out the other guy, 1, 2, 3. And the wrestler would go give the foreign object to his manager, and the manager would get away. And the whole crowd would see that and be in an uproar and be yelling at the referee. And what did the referee do? Huh? What? I didn't see anything. What? I don't know. I was talking to him. I didn't see anything. So, I'm just a stupid referee that doesn't know anything. Is that where we are with Secret Service protection for presidential candidates and former presidents? Because it is really looking like that. So I don't know if YouTube is going to take this video down, but let me know in the comments what you think really happened here. Was this just gross incompetence, or did they leave a path open for this person to come over there and then wait while they're looking right at the roof? The snipers are looking right at the roof and don't take their shot until after he already starts shooting. What do you think about that? Thanks for watching, guys.